Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9 and 10 are really important verses in the Bible. And they are verses that I think kind of fly in the face of what our culture currently teaches us. So let's unpack them. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9 begins with this: honor the Lord with your wealth. So we see something right off the bat. We see that God is not against wealth. A lot of times you'll hear a lot of people say, well, God's against wealth. No, God is against the love and the service of money. God's not for you loving money or serving money, because he knows that it's a terrible God. In fact, he said that you can't serve God and money at the same time. It's impossible. Unfortunately, we see people try this all the time. We see churches try this, pastors try this, celebrities try this, people try this. We'll see people in churches, business people try this. They'll try to somehow serve God and money at the same time. And it never works, because the Bible says you can't do that. But God's not against wealth. God is not against you being wise, having really sound decisions, taking advantage of good opportunities without breaking laws and rules and ethics. He's not against that. He's for that. He wants you to be able to take care of your family. In fact, the man writing this, Solomon, when it was his time, he was extremely wealthy. And one of the principles of Solomon's time and people were that when you passed away, you were supposed to be able to fully take care of your grandchildren. So that was something that was learned throughout the Bible by God's people at the time. So God's not against wealth. God's not against you having nice things. God's not against you taking care of yourself. But we need to understand that we need to honor him with our wealth. So what are some ways we honor him with our wealth? Well, I think first of all, we honor him by achieving wealth the right way. We honor him by achieving wealth the right way. If our strategy is to bend corners, lie, cheat, steal to get that wealth, it's not honoring to God. What we do matters. How we do what we do matters just as much. But also, I think what this verse is referencing is the idea of honoring him with wealth, and that is more of a reflection of giving to honor him, right? And so taking care of others, taking care of the poor, taking care of the needy, taking care of the church, taking care of needs within the church, helping to honor him with our giving gifts as a way of honoring him. But then it says, and, so I circled and, honor the Lord with your wealth, and with the first fruits of all your produce. And this is interesting, because he's saying we should honor God, we should achieve wealth the right way, and we should do the right things with money, right? And so do the right things to get the money, and do the right things with the wealth. But, and with the first fruits of all your produce. So he's saying, honor the Lord with your wealth, and with what we would call nowadays tithing. Giving the first 10% of everything that you have. He says that's honoring to him. We could talk about whether or not we need to obey him, whether or not we need to do these things to serve him. I think we could talk about that a long time. But let's just talk about the fact that when we tithe, it honors God. When we are willing to recognize and give to him what he deserves, it honors him. Why does it honor God? How can tithing honor God, right? It's a big question. Like, what? How? Why? Well, we honor God by recognizing that it's all his money, and he just gave us a little portion of it that he thinks we can handle and he can trust us with. So we honor him by proving ourselves worthy of being trusted, by handling it the right way. But we also honor him by recognizing this is yours. Every good gift comes from you. And so I recognize that. And we honor him by recognizing that he can do more with our less than we can with our more. Here's what I mean. God can do more with our 90% in our living than we can with 100%. So when we give 10% to him, it gives him an opportunity to prove and to show what a good and loving and gracious God he is. So honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then, and only then, your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. What's that mean? Well, here's what I took away from it. In our lives, we often think that we need to pick between necessities and fun. And in this passage, the barns filled with plenty, that's a necessity. I grew up farming. My grandfather was a farmer. My dad owns a farm. A lot of my aunts and uncles are farmers. I worked on a hay farm for years. There were summers where the barn that we filled with hay would be just full of hay. And there would be some summers where it was a little bit less hay. That hay was a necessity. That hay was needed to feed and to take care of the cows that took care of our family. If we didn't have hay to feed them, they wouldn't eventually be able to feed us. And so that was a necessity. So God is saying, first of all, you will have the necessities you need when you honor him. So if we could word it like this: honor the Lord with all your wealth and with your tithe, and you will have what you need. And that's so important. But the second part of this is really amazing. And your vats will be bursting with wine. The wine is like representing the fun celebration times in our life. So we have our necessities, but we also have our things that we want and things that we enjoy. We have fun together. We get to go on family trips together. We get to have nice things and enjoy those things and be grateful for the blessings that God gives us. What the Bible is saying is that when you honor God, you're not going to have to pick between this one and this one. When you honor God and you tithe and you give offerings, God will do more with your less than you can do with your more. And he will provide both. And so your life can be something with wealth and with your necessities, your needs met, and also with the fun, enjoyable, good things that we want and desire. So when we honor God, when we tithe and we do those things, God makes it so that both are available and ready. Now, he can do this through a lot of ways. Sometimes he does this through just random gifts. This has happened in my life. I remember someone one time giving me a very substantial gift so that I could take my wife on a anniversary trip. I remember another time being in a hospital and someone paying all of my hospital bills. I mean, like we're talking like $100 and some $1,000 worth of hospital bills. Here you go. I remember another time that one of our vehicles was stolen, and I walked into the wrong room. I was in the wrong room. I was supposed to be in this room, and I was in this room, and I didn't know anybody over here. And someone said, "Hey, you're Jason Williams." And I started talking, and they were like, "I heard about your van here." And they gave me a down payment on a new vehicle. God does those things. He certainly does those things. But also, in verse 13 it says of Proverbs 3, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding." Verse 14, "For the gain of her, wisdom and understanding, is better than gain from silver, her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor." Sometimes God blesses us, gives us the needs and the wants through just like, hey, I want this to be something that you say only God could do that. And sometimes he gives us wisdom that comes from above so that we can make sound principles and begin to understand what he wants out of our life. This is why we will see sometimes people who may not be living the way that we think they should be living, but financially they're just doing great. Often it's because they found wisdom at some point in their life. And wisdom is better than the gain of silver. Her profit is better than gold. She's more precious than jewels. Nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand. We all want a nice long life. And in her left hand, riches and honor. So it's riches. God's saying, when you honor God with your wealth, you tithe. He gives you your needs. He gives you your wants. He pours blessings and gifts that only he can pour on you. He gives you wisdom. And then it goes full circle. It ends. This little passage ends with the word honor. And I find it so fascinating that when we honor God, he brings these blessings full circle, and we find honor in our world and from those around us. And this is why it's so important that we honor God with our wealth. I think we could talk about obeying God, but I don't know if often enough we talk about this. It's important that we honor God. And how do we do that? Just a reminder, we honor God by finding wealth the right way, but also by doing the right things with the wealth that he provides. Always remember that you matter.